Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon. This is a special meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals on May 9, 2023, and we're being recorded by Foxborough Cable Access. So our sole objective is to go through the draft of the written decision. I guess this is draft number 2 of the written decision, and ideally come to an agreement as to whether any changes and what changes need to be made, and then ideally we can sign it before the end of the day. So I think the best way to do this is to go page by page, and if anybody has any comments, questions, corrections, what have you, on each page we can go ahead and make them. So the very first one I had is under case number. Diana, the 23 and the 01, there's a space in between.
Oh, yeah.
So this is going to be, some of these are going to be really mundane.
The big one is the official address is 55 Walnut Street, not 51.
We've never heard of an address for this property, whether it's 55 or 51.
Well, Gabby assigned an address of 55, so we have it in our official address book.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
official.
Okay.
Very good, thank you.
55 it is. 55 and above.
So it's referenced in a couple of places.
Perfect.
We'll get to the next places. I think it's on page 3, but
Still on page 1.
still on page 1.
Yeah.
The name of the entity, up at the very beginning, should not have a street in it. It's Walnut Master Ground Lessee LLC.
Mm-hmm.
So throughout, the name street has to be removed. So it's at the very heading.
Yep.
On the first line, under procedural history. Walnut Street is right there. And I think it's a few other times.
It'll be in paragraph 1.
Yep, item number 1,
Yep.
first line.
Applicant.
And again, also in 1, it should be 55 Walnut Street.
Applicant,
Yeah, I mean, all the headers have 51, so just gonna make sure.
Also, under item 1, the application was filed on January 23rd. My letter was dated January 20th, but I didn't file it until Monday, the 23rd.
Anybody else?
Do you want a little clerical errors?
I'm sorry?
Under item number 2, it's, the last sentence says the board conducted the public hearing, the application on. I'm assuming it should be hearing on the application.
Yeah. Or hearing of the application? Yeah, on. Okay. Move on to page 2. So under number 4, again, it should be 55 Walnut Street.
Spread it out.
And in number 5, instead of the property, it should be the site.
At the very beginning?
Yes.
Okay. Also,
Strike street.
in the second sentence, it says, through the request of proposal process,
Yeah,
administered
proposal
by
should
FHA, comma, Beacon Properties.
Yeah, actually,
We'd like
Another
to,
reference to property too.
is proposals plural, or should it be singular?
Through a request for proposals. No, I think proposals
Okay.
is correct.
So Beacon Properties is
should be
incorrect.
eliminated, and we'd like to add the words, a joint venture of Affordable Housing and Services Collaboratives, Inc.
Comma, PBD.
Yeah, I'm letting them catch up.
Oh.
Collaborative
Joint
is
venture of who?
singular.
Then comma, Peabody Properties,
Oh,
Inc.
all right, we're doing all the things, okay.
Frank, can you go through it again?
Yep. It should state a joint venture of Affordable Housing and Services Collaborative, Inc.
Housing and services?
Yes, plural, Houses, Services Collaborative, Inc., comma.
Mm-hmm.
Peabody Properties, Inc., comma. And Onyx, O-N-Y-X Group, comma.
Mm-hmm.
Known as capital W, capital S, W, capital J, V, WSJV, all capitals, Developer LLC. So again, the last comma goes known as WSJV, all capitals, Developer LLC.
Is there a comma after developer?
No, that's the name of it. Known,
There is not.
No comment.
no comma, it says comma, known as WSJV Developer LLC. Oh, I see, yep. And then it should go, was selected,
Yeah. So all of that is replacing Beacon Properties.
yeah.
Yes.
And when we gave you that wonderful flow chart, that was all over the place, all those names were in there.
Okay. I've got one other, two other changes in that paragraph. After Foxborough Housing Authority, where it says FHA in parentheses, make it parentheses, the, and then quotation marks, FHA, end quotation marks. And then I'd like to add a sentence at the end of the paragraph that would read something to the effect of, the applicant and the FHA have agreed to enter into a ground lease for a term of 99 years, pursuant to which the applicant will manage and operate the project.
Okay, Mike?
Can you say that again?
Yep.
99 ground lease?
Yep, the applicant and the FHA
Yeah.
have agreed to enter into a ground lease
Yeah.
for a term of 99 years, pursuant to which the applicant will manage and operate the project.
Yes.
Okay?
And is it the applicant, name, Walnut?
You would take out the word street in that, where
Yeah.
it says the applicant entity.
You haven't entered into that yet, have you? Or-
No, well, no, we
An
have,
agreement
we have an
to
agreement to
enter.
enter into.
Yeah. I know they had the option
Yep,
to negotiate by November 1st,
Yes.
November 1st, by June 1st,
right.
Yes.
and that's still outstanding.
Yep.
Yes.
And that, yes.
What's after Pursuant?
I'll give you this, Diana,
Okay.
okay?
Just one other note, the second sentence references the property rather than the site. As a
In
defined
paragraph
term.
5?
Yeah.
Yep,
the second-
yep.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
just a,
Is it going to be 99 years?
Yeah, that's the length of our ground lease with the house with
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay?
and then the last sentence references street in the name.
Mhm.
again.
This is becoming another red line copy. Okay, anything else on page 2?
Under 6,
Mm-hmm.
where the third line down, not the sentence, where it says also receives various grants and loans from.
Mm-hmm.
We'd like to eliminate grants and loans from, and I'll read how it's going to write, and I'll do it. Various financing sources, including but not limited to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and then Affordable Housing Trust Fund. So they're not really grants.
Mhm.
Grants you think you're not going to pay back. These are all going to be some sort of financial sources.
So add the
So-
various is financial?
So various financing sources. Then after sources, take out such as the, and put in including but not limited to the,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have Commonwealth of Massachusetts Affordable Housing Trust.
Okay.
Do you have all that?
You got it, Diana?
I do.
Good. Okay.
And then further down, second to last line, at the end it says mass housing as one word. We'd like to change that to mass space housing partnership. And then you can put your little parentheses, the, in quotes, MHP, all capitals.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm set for the rest of the page.
We are also.
Anything on 3? Anything on 4?
Just so, which one are you working off, the draft with changes or your clean one? So on 4, is it starting at the top with 16 or continuation of 14?
16.
16.
Okay, I just want to make sure I was following along correctly. I got both going, so.
All right, so 5 starts with decision. Okay, anybody have any changes on there?
Under general A1, instead of saying revised plan set, I listed out the whole name, Walnut Street Affordable Housing Comprehensive Permit Set prepared by Weston and Sampson and Utile Inc. Architects dated January 12th, last revised March 24th. That's also listed under the submissions to the board if you want
Do we
the full
delete
title of it.
Can you do it again?
If you go to Exhibit B where it says Walnut Street Affordable Housing Comprehensive Permit Set, I use that wording instead of saying revised plan set. So that's
Okay.
the title of it, you know, with the dates.
So that's okay.
Okay.
And we have a slight change for A4.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
This is a small change, but just because of the wording they've been using, we'd like to say the applicant will construct the project in 2 phases. Buildings 1 and 2 will be comprised of Phase 1, and Phase in 1 capitalized, and Building 3 will be Phase 2. The P and the T on Phase 2 are capitalized. Just a little different, but that's the way we've always
Mm-hmm.
referenced it.
So it'll be the applicant will construct the project in 2 phases, period. Buildings 1 and 2 will be comprised of Phase 1. And Building 3, is it will be comprised of, or is Phase 3, Phase 2?
Either way, yeah.
Okay, I would say is Phase 2.
Yeah, we just wanted to
You know,
Instead of being
Again.
refer to it as that way, Phase 1, Phase 2.
yeah, Phase 1 and Phase 2, the first letters are capitalized.
Yep. So we're spelling 1 out.
Yes,
Capital O.
initial cap. Oops.
Okay. All right, move on to page 6. Anything? Page 7. I want
I
to,
had one,
yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I had one comment, page 7B2.
Actually, Even before that, just hang on.
Yes.
I want to circle back to B1
Yeah.
at the very end, okay? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so B2, I just wanted to make sure that we had the wording in here that was very clear, because I believe when we were going through our discussions, that there was a distinction between Foxborough residents having the initial rent up was going to be.
We've had a comment to add that in there, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that was clear, because I wasn't sure that was in here.
So under that B2, while we're talking about it,
Mm-hmm.
the second full sentence, residents of the town of Foxborough shall have first preference for rental of up to 70% of units, and we'd like to add the wordings, at initial lease-up of each building.
Frank, can you go again?
Yep, so,
So 70% of
of units at initial lease-up of each building.
Okay.
So when each building is being leased up initially,
Okay.
70% of it can be preference for the town of Foxborough residents.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay.
Is there some kind of a time period for initial lease-up? Is that defined anywhere?
It's, the process is done by a lottery, and until the building is full is the end of the lease-up period.
Okay,
So the
got it.
lottery will start, and even if you have more than enough applicants, then you're continuing to take from the lottery. If the lottery is run through and you still have empty units, you're still in initial lease-up.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Okay, page 8.
Well, you wanted to
Did
do
you want to
B1?
go
Oh,
back to
B1.
No, I want to
B1?
go back to at the end.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Uh, So
So take a while to find that.
B3,
I'm sorry?
B3, so we're going to go back to B1.
Yep.
So this is a little bit of an issue, because to get their financing, they technically have to have the building permit in hand.
Mm-hmm.
And they get the regulatory sign-off and record it at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So without the building permits, we can't close because of this. So, what we'd like to do is have the building permits issued but held by the building commissioner, and having him provide us with a letter confirming that the building permits will be issued upon receipt of the signed, recorded regulatory agreement. So they can go to the closing with the letter from the building inspector saying it's ready to be received upon receipt of the, saying everything else is done, we just need that one thing. So if they don't have the building permit in hand, but the letter will be good enough for the banks. And so you could keep that wording, but just add, we would like to add a sentence saying that the building commissioner
Will the letter be good enough?
provide us with a letter.
Yeah, we just need something to confirm basically what this says, which is we'll get the permit once we have the regulatory agreement, but we need something from the community in order for us to close and record.
Yeah, understood.
Then we can, get it. So it's a little bit of a catch-22, a little bit of a.
Okay.
You have any wording you want to suggest, or?
Yep. The building commissioner shall provide a letter to the applicant confirming that tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, so again, the
Diane
bill,
is the most important person,
I
though,
got
so.
it. The building commissioner provide a letter to the applicant confirming that.
so the building commissioner shall provide a letter to the applicant confirming that a building permit will be issued upon receipt of an executed and recorded regulatory agreement.
So we're striking that whole sentence and replacing it with that?
Nope, you can keep that first one, because again, it's saying he's not gonna issue it
All right.
until he gets it. But that the letter will be given to us, so we can show him, you know, this decision. Show him the letter saying, yep, we're gonna get it, everything's okay, we just need the regulatory agreement. And
After
the
the
banks will be
review.
fine with that.
After all the other documents are reviewed and approved.
Yep.
Frank, is county correct anymore, or is it just Norfolk Registry? Do they call it Norfolk County, or, I think it's Norfolk, just Norfolk Registry now, isn't it?
I see it both ways.
I think right now in the decision, we have it both ways, so.
I think it can go either way. I
Okay.
think generally they drop the county.
Yeah, why don't we just drop it then for this, because I think I dropped it elsewhere. Okay. All right.
Oh, their website's called the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds.
Okay, anything else on 8?
I had one small word.
Mhm.
And this is really quibbling, but it's C1, then 1D, the paragraph following that, that starts off, if construction activity ceases. It's the last sentence. The applicant shall take all commercial reasonable steps. I thought commercially reasonable steps reads better. It doesn't change the meaning, so it's really just a small quibble.
No, that makes sense.
C1.
Okay. All right, 9. I guess this,
All right, so we're on page 9 now?
if we're done with 8, we are on page 9.
Okay. On 9, item number 4, we're not exactly sure the purpose of that. 25% of an estimated cost of restoration landscaping. You know, once they get their financing, they're gonna be moving forward. And this isn't typically seen in any kind of decisions with any planning board or anything like that, so I didn't understand why.
Yeah, this was in the Moore Street decision, and I think it's here as a vestige of that, number one, and it's probably something that Judy puts in fairly frequently in her decisions. I reviewed our other decisions, and I haven't seen wording of this nature. So I guess the question is there any importance or any need for that provision at all? I can't think of any.
Number 4 on page 9.
The landscaping?
Yeah, so it would be on page,
Page 9,
9.
4.
paragraph 4. Yeah, Frank mentioned it to me earlier today.
Yeah, I
and
mean, I
said
don't, we've
looked-
never, so you've never used this in the past?
We used it on Moore Street, but I haven't seen it in the other ones we've done.
Up to you guys, I mean, that's your call.
So, Scott, can you think of any reason why?
It is a safe, it's safe to utilize it, but, I mean, again, it's up to the board.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is for plants if they expire. For the landscape, right? Is that what we're looking
It's
for?
more if we walk away and
Right.
we've taken trees
Reforest.
down. Yeah.
Reforest the site,
Yeah.
Okay.
you know.
I mean, the only thing I can think of that might be of value is, let's just say you put the road in and then walk away. So you've got an area where there's concrete or macadam and no trees. So would it come into play at that point or be of any value at that point?
Probably.
That's the only thing I can think of. And I guess the reason this one differs from any other ones that we've done is because of the, the internal roadway that you're having. But that's the only thing I can think of where it might possibly, come into play.
Yeah, so you're saying you put the roadway in, but there's no buildings?
Yeah.
I mean, the only comment I'll just make on that is if we're putting roads in, that means our project's been funded, which means
Right,
we're
you're gonna be
going,
putting a
we're
building in.
going full throttle.
The buildings would be in as well, yeah.
So we wouldn't put, like, this wouldn't be a typical, or not typical, but this wouldn't be a development situation where we're building something maybe on spec, and then we're hoping that something will happen after the fact. If we get this project funded, which we have all rights to believe we will, it's gonna, the whole thing, we won't get started until we do the whole thing, is the point, that's what I mean. It's all together.
We wouldn't start with the
We
roadways either.
wouldn't start
yeah.
with just the roadway, right?
Yeah.
So just sequencing, that wouldn't really happen.
Yeah, and the phase two, removal of the trees won't happen. They're not gonna clear the whole site, they're just gonna clear enough for phase one, get that up, and then clear the area for phase two. So it's not like phase one could get up there and you could have a bare area,
I mean, I will say that in the planning board, we've done things like, and much smaller scale, obviously, we'll do $2,000 or something we might hold to replace, arborvitae's. I mean, in this instance, I think you'd, rather than just first of all, I think you decide whether you need it. And
Yeah.
that's up to you, the board. But if you do need it, I mean, the 25% seems a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, where really are the pinch points? It might be from Walnut and from the neighbors. So you might want to throw some arborvitae, it's not going to happen. But if some weird thing happened where you just had a little bit of money to put some arborvitae's or white pine, whatever it would, to screen it, to make it look like, because it wouldn't take much to make that site go back to looking like, we built mostly about the neighborhood. We want to make sure that it looked. So I think, rather than a standard 25%, either strike it and we don't worry about it, or maybe do a much smaller amount where you're really just buying some arborvitae's.
Yeah, and again, you have the phase one, just that area right there. And once that up and going, then, the phase two. So the areas are small, especially when you get to the phase two, it'll be even smaller than phase one. And that's the other thing, we'd like to know what that number is in advance if it's gonna be there. Do you have an idea in
Go
your
with a
head?
small fixed amount?
I don't have a number in my head. I mean, we've done things like
Small
2,000 up to 10,000,
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know how many what a arborvitae tree costs, but
That's fine.
I would think,
Yeah, because.
What would you think,
Because that
I would say $2,000, $2,500, something like that.
We're fine, we'll even do 5,000 just to make sure everything's covered,
Don't anticipate it happening, but
right? And,
good for the neighbors, just in case, God forbid,
just in the event, again, worst case scenario, you may want to change the wording from restoration of landscaping to be able to use it as landscaping too. Because the way I read it was, in case nothing's built there, you want to restore it back to the way it is now. Whereas if there's a roadway in there, you might want plantings too. I haven't thought about how, you'd want
So like a landscape
Wording?
contingency or something like that?
to, yeah.
So if we were to say that it provides security, say in the amount of $5,000, toward the toward the cost of, go ahead, Frank, what wording were you suggesting?
We could probably put restorative landscaping and/or, Paige, what's the typical language we would put in for like a subdivision?
I'd have to find, but it's, I don't know, it's like a
can't either.
boilerplate, so we don't write it, we just cut and paste it, so,
I think that would be fine language, don't you,
yeah. Yeah.
for those two purposes?
For the purposes, I mean, you could be very specific, that's what we usually are, is in the event the project fails to proceed, the funds can be used to restore, replenish, or supplement landscaping to the benefit of the neighborhood, or
That's
something
good,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Yeah, because right now you couldn't use it unless the project's been abandoned. And I'll be honest with you, if these get people going up, the bank's gonna say, no, we never abandoned it. Someone will always be owning it. Someone will always be, it won't be abandoned, so you'll never be able to be honest with you, go on the property or do anything.
So he's suggesting page toward the cost of restorative landscaping to the benefit of abutting properties?
Yeah, yeah, and maybe, the view from Walnut Street, I'm more concerned about the North High neighbors, but then, assuming we took care of them, if we had to close it up, you try to find a way to
Yeah, to the
make
benefit
it
of the
look
town
like
and the neighbors.
no one
Yeah.
disturbed the site, even though there's a driveway going in there now.
And the usual language in site plan, I think, would be fine.
Yeah. I can go grab it if it's helpful. If you guys want to
Yeah.
keep going, I can pull it out.
Okay, if you would, all
I'll do
right.
that.
That's great. Thank you.
Anything else on 9?
No.
10?
On page 10, paragraph right before C2, the final plan specification subject to review and approval by the board's designated agent.
Mm-hmm.
Can we just put building commissioner?
You want to be the designated agent, Scott?
I guess I have no choice.
Okay. That's fine.
I mean, you'll be the one doing the reviewing anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was being facetious.
Even if you get outside consultants, you won't give it until they give us
Sure.
sign off.
All right. Okay, 11.
On item 5, at the end of the first sentence, the random 1 or L.
Hmm.
Where?
After federal.
After federal, right at the end of the,
Oh, over there. I'm looking at like number 5. I'm like, 5 looks fine. Okay, a random one.
Do we always do the snow management plan from DPW for projects like this?
I think so.
I mean, it makes sense, I just didn't know if
Yeah,
that was always
I think
something.
so, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I don't know, if number 8, should that be signed and sealed, applicable sheets?
And delivered.
No, because
Like,
all
is
of
it-
them are,
Under C2, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
they're all directives,
Applicant shall sign and seal.
yeah. For example, in the ones
Oh,
before,
okay.
obtain, submit.
I got you.
The most important one is 9, pay.
We have problems with that, but we know we can't change it. All right.
Anything else on 11?
No.
All right, 12?
On 12, item 5 at the top.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing in the conservation order conditions that had to do with stormwater management plan, so
Mhm.
just like that deleted. So it's set forth in the peer review written comments.
So in other words, delete,
The Conservation Commission's order of conditions
conditions.
for the project.
Yep.
And so it just says, as set forth in the peer review written comments.
okay.
And then
That's
under-
on 5, right?
Yeah.
Is there reference to the project again, the defined term?
Yeah.
Should say the site.
So that's just throughout the dock?
And then up in paragraph 2, the references to phase 1, it's, should be, it has numerical 1, but I think our defined terms now are spelled out.
So where are you, Betsy?
Paragraph 2, complete required water and sewer connections.
On the previous page you were on.
Oh, I'm on 12, where are we, am I?
Yeah, you're,
Our pagination's
Oh,
a little off
our
from theirs, yeah.
pagination's off, so I'm like, yes, sorry.
So, right,
So I'm
but
sending us backwards.
under C4 though, C4 number 2
11.
is what Betsy's referring to. And,
Two spell out 1 and 2.
oh, I see, yep.
under the phases, just
Yep.
call it phase 1 spelt out and phase
Yep.
2 spelt out,
Yep.
Down in 5, the reference.
consistent.
That's on the next page.
Okay, on 12C5, Diana is going to fix, or maybe she already has the,
What is a condition for the
Indentation.
The project, you should say, this side.
Well, we already took that out,
Oh.
didn't we?
I thought so. I don't know.
it shows you my skill with a computer.
Diane.
Yeah, I fixed the applicant thing. It took a while because it kept moving it, but yeah.
And then under number 1, C5, submit to the building commissioner on digital file format a final as-built utilities plan, including profiles. My understanding is that's not needed because it's going to be a private road.
Is that correct, Scott?
If it's private, yes,
Yeah.
but if it ever wants to become town, okay.
So can we just eliminate including profiles?
But you will have a record of it? If it ever, if it ever comes before the town to become a town property, town road,
I'll never come
we say never now, Frank.
to, well, if they don't, they can't do it then.
Well,
Yeah.
according to this decision, right now it's private, we have to keep it private, right?
Okay, all right.
So you want to come after plan and delete including profiles?
Yes, and so just deleting the word including profiles, those 2 words. And then under item 3, again deleting out in the town of Foxborough Conservation Commission. Because it's nothing to do with the stormwater management and their decision.
I have one other comment on.
Go ahead.
C5-1, this is very, very picky, and I'm sure it's boilerplate, but on the 1, 2, 3, 4th sentence down after building commissioner, where it says AutoCAD file delivery, I would just take out auto, because that's a brand name of product, and different trades may be using different things. I would just call it CAD, because CAD is a blanket term,
Okay.
This one is more.
All right, good, thank you.
because no one's using really AutoCAD anymore.
Last one's kind of like.
One from the other.
Right.
Here, keep it. Where was that one?
That was right.
3 different ones.
Here's C5-1.
And that's one we might want to add.
Okay.
That's what the performance guarantee.
All right, why don't we go back to this? Did Paige, you give Frank one, or?
I didn't give you everybody because they're not perfect, we'll just talk it through, I think.
Okay, why don't we go back to the one we were talking about, what page?
Page 9, number 4.
Okay.
All right, anything else on 12? And 13?
Oh, we can go to that later, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right, so actually, on page 12 still, again, we went over number 3, deleting out in the town of Foxborough Conservation Commission. And item number 5, which says certification by the town of Foxborough's peer review engineer and the building commissioner that all off-site measures that may be required pursuant to this comprehensive permit are complete.
Yeah, I don't think there are any off-site measures, are there?
There's one.
One?
The water line between the 2 entrances we're replacing. Yeah.
And so what we'd just like to do is
Yeah,
take out the word "that may be required" and just say measures pursuant to this comprehensive permit decision. Because it in there, it does have that one water line, you know, to loop the site and connect it in front of the property, the water line
Okay.
there. So if we could just eliminate again the words "that may be required," so it just says measure pursuant to this
Mhm.
comprehensive decision.
Okay, 13.
All right. I think we're okay.
All right. 14.
D8.
Mm-hmm.
Utilities, including but not limited to telephone, electrical, and cable, shall be in accordance with requirements of DPW.
This was just a question we had relative to sort of the DPW jurisdiction over public, I'm sorry, private utilities on a private road, such as like phone, cable, et cetera. Whereas it's, you know, the examples might, I guess, maybe be better to, if it's under DPW requirements, it might be water, sewer. So the question was just raised that, did it make sense, you know, when we read it, that's all. So it was just more of a question of public utilities versus private utilities versus public roadways versus private roadways, you know what I mean?
It's probably not under their authority, it's under the governing utility company
Mm-hmm.
Right.
that's gonna take that responsibility.
So I don't think there are any requirements from our DPW.
Only the water.
There's
Water and
connections.
sewer.
Only the-
Water
only
and
the water
sewer.
and sewer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
you
maybe
could
swap
say,
'em out,
but not
like-
limited to water and sewer,
Yeah.
and then delete telephone, electric, and cable.
Or just say water and sewer.
Mhm.
Because if
Yeah.
you say including but not limited to.
Oh, not limited to, thank you,
Including, right,
yeah.
You know,
I didn't go to law school. So.
I hate the term but not limited to.
No. Lawyers use it all the time.
I know.
Probably should have used it yesterday as far as the amendment.
so just water and sewer shall be in accordance with requirements of the DPW.
I think we need something after water and sewer. Water and sewer lines,
Connection?
systems,
Connections, yeah.
connections, systems, connections,
Connections,
the water and sewer connections.
systems and connections.
That's what I was just thinking.
Okay. So we're saying water and sewer systems and connections shall be in accordance with requirements of the DPW.
We had a question on D9. It's very broad language. We were just wondering what you're looking for there. If it's just the backfill material, what's going in there, that's one thing. Jesse wants to know what that encompasses, because it could be very broad.
Is it compaction? Is it just contents?
Well, if utilities go under a street, it's gotta be flowable fill sometimes. There's, it's getting signed off by the civil engineer.
Like what is typically required on a private way.
Well, again, if it's over a road and it's not, I mean, like water lines have got to be 4 feet down. Sewer lines, I don't know the regulations on those.
But again, we're talking about soil material.
I think this is basically sitting there saying that your civil engineer is gonna sit there and have to make that determination of what is appropriate
Appropriate for what?
for the backfill. If that's what I'm saying, what material can be utilized for that backfill.
Yeah, but he's saying he has to certify to you.
Yeah, he stamps it and he says, yes, I'm doing this in accordance with the regulations for each for the pipes and the access drives and structures. I'm not following what you're trying to,
I think the question is not what he's specifying, is he on-site, observing all of the fill being installed for certification? Or is he relying on the subcontractor to certify what he's bringing? That's what he's trying to understand his scope on the actual
he's
install.
actually taking full responsibility of all of it. So whoever works under them is on him,
Sure.
on them. So he's certifying that they're doing it to the best practice.
But he has to certify it to you in writing.
Usually that's in the form of an affidavit after the fact.
Okay. Okay, I mean,
And you're just looking for the material that was used.
Yeah, I think this is kind of standard, like, we don't see it much, like, on the planning side of it, but I know, like, when Norm, our inspection engineer, he would be out in the field when they're laying roads and doing things, checking temps, checking to make sure the coarseness or whatever matched the application, so I think it's a standard
But-
practice for engineering, it's
But
just,
he's there.
he is
when
there.
when
But
those
whatever
things
your
happen.
engineer is gonna
Just like-
require
like
in
when
order
you
To
have a
get
septic
himself
system.
comfortable.
that's fine. I mean, we're gonna have testing materials anyhow.
I mean, you guys are gonna want this anyway, you're not gonna have guarantees on pavement unless
He's
you
gonna
do it
rely
right.
on other people.
Right.
It'll be fine.
He'll rely on other people to give him the information, and
Yeah.
he'll certify to it, yeah.
Very rarely are they there every day.
Right, that's where, yeah.
But we
But
have,
they're taking responsibility every day.
right,
So whatever they're comfortable with,
Yeah.
just put their signature on it.
okay, we're just trying to get some clarity on that. Okay,
15?
So we're good with 14.
Anything on 15?
On D12,
It's on that one, too.
at the very ending, we'd like to have a reword to during the construction period. There's just a little concern, after phase one, there could be a year or two, economy goes bad, maybe 3, between the 2 phases,
What number you
where
on?
no construction's going on.
D12.
So D12, so we would like to say the ending be during the construction period.
yeah, instead of the project, just duration of the construction period, so that way, during the construction of phase one, we're gonna comply, and then during the construction period of phase two, we'll comply.
You know, but we do anticipate there'll be some downtime between the 2 phases. It could be a few years. And in reading it, you could read it that during that whole time, it's duration
Right.
of construction. So we just wanted to fine tune that a little bit.
So delete of the project and put in during the construction period in its place.
Yep,
Okay.
that would be helpful.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And then on D14, the last sentence, a security contractor shall be utilized. We'd like to just change that to a designated individual shall be responsible to open and close. Because typically it's one of their employees. Who was it
The
again?
site superintendent?
Site superintendent.
Instead of a separate security contractor. So there'll be someone that's responsible. So a designated individual shall be responsible to open and close the site daily.
Say designated individual of the applicant? Okay.
That's fine,
Or general contractor, yeah.
yeah.
We can designate.
We can
We'll
designate.
designate it. Sorry, I'm thinking it out loud.
With the applicant. Do what I say. We'll have to contract with them anyway.
Okay. Okay, on 16?
On E4, on the second line, town construction standards in accordance with the final plans. I'd like to add then the words, as shown for Phase 1 and subsequently Phase 2, and then continue the sentence. So after final plans, add the words again, as shown for Phase 1 and subsequently Phase 2.
Okay. All right.
F1, yeah, Foxborough tours. Town of Foxborough Fire Department. Double Foxborough.
Extra strength. Fire department.
Anything else on 16?
No.
And 17, G9 to be deleted.
G9's being deleted?
Yeah, that's the one with
Yep.
individual water servers. That's again a vestige from the last one
Yep.
Thank you.
that I overlooked when I revised this.
On H1, the second line, roadways shown on final plans. Again, if we could add the words for Phase 1 and subsequently Phase 2. And that continues providing access.
What is it?
Did you get that?
Where are you?
H1 on page 17,
Okay.
the second line, not sentence, that starts roadway shown on the final plans.
Yeah.
After the word final plans, if we could add for Phase 1 and subsequently Phase 2.
On G7, which starts at 16 and ends on 17, where it talks about should any appeal, the order of conditions result in elimination or modification of any condition of the order of conditions. I think that's specific to Morse Street.
Daniel, where is it?
At the top of page
G7.
17, which is a continuation of
Okay.
G7,
Mm-hmm.
where it talks about, the order of conditions and if there's any appeals. Should any appeal, the order conditions result in elimination or modification of any condition of the order conditions and the applicant seek to notify the project.
Mm.
I don't think the buildings have anything to do with the Conservation Commission.
Mm-hmm. So you're pretty much saying that everything after the phrase registry of deeds should be deleted.
Yeah, because it,
Is that correct?
I would think, because that. Frank, you still have to apply, do you have to file with the state again for the isolated land on the
Yeah.
site? So you only had the ORAD, and that's all there is.
Not to my
right?
knowledge, but again, there's no appeal,
Mm-hmm.
so You know, I didn't have a problem with it, just kind of moot.
I'll leave it then.
Okay.
Doesn't change the paging, so.
Perfect.
I didn't see what you're saying. But
I'm sorry?
I understood what she was saying.
Yeah,
You know,
'cause
I
it's-
Thought about it, yeah.
You're gonna modify the project based on the ORAD? I think they feel pretty weight on top.
Page 18. I-6. I don't know if we should define that a little bit better, whether, you know, just changing out a few windows, is that going to be altering the exterior of the building?
Any material alterations, maybe?
You know, for site plan
Yeah, I
views
mean-
and things like that, you couldn't put anything like this in there.
You know, again, like any other modification, it would have to be a determination whether it's substantial or insubstantial. I think I'd rather leave it the way it is, and we'll deal with it if and when it becomes an issue. And I don't think it'll become an issue. Again, if you're just going to change something that's minor, I don't think we're going to be concerned about it. You
My
know, the
only
plans
concern
do-
is, I understand why you think it's not going to be an issue, but times change.
Yeah.
And people sit in these chairs are different. And you don't know what's
Kim's
going
gonna
to
be
be.
here forever, don't worry.
Over the next 99 years, and we'll get better windows.
I got this one covered, don't worry about it.
You know, something to, you know, a
we can say
significant
substantial.
change.
Substantial changes, yeah.
I was
You
gonna
know.
say, is
Substantial
there-
exterior alterations.
Yeah, and
Okay, for
any
permits.
language that says that the board will not
Go
unreasonably
down that
withhold,
path.
yeah.
I'm sorry,
Oop.
any,
Is there
and the board will not,
a defined term for substantial changes?
will not unreasonably withhold approval,
Mhm.
you know, language to that effect.
So would it be just subject to substantial changes then? Is that sort of what we're talking about? Rather than
Yeah.
minor things would be, okay. That makes sense.
So just use the word substantial at the beginning.
yeah,
Here's where it gets tricky. Who determines substantial?
Oh, I assumed that was already defined somewhere. I guess not.
Is
That's
the
a-
criteria whether or not
that's
you
a
pull a
judgment call.
permit?
of us.
All right.
I'm sorry?
Is the criteria whether or not you pull a permit?
No.
Doesn't really
Well, you
limit
can't
it.
remove a
Permit to
window, you
paint the
can't even
building.
breathe without a permit, basically, so.
Okay,
So if you go to change a window or a door, it requires a building permit.
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, technically, re-roofing, someone could make you come in here if they want to change the color of shingles.
Correct. I mean,
That's-
it'd probably be my determination on substantial. Like if they're going to put like a facade or some kind of breezeway or some substantial change. If it's
Additional
just swapping
structure.
out for in kind, that wouldn't be,
Well, again, the reference here is to the regulations. And the regulations distinguish between what's substantial and what's insubstantial. So typically, if there's a modification of a decision, it's up to us to determine whether it's a substantial
oh, you can
change
take
or-
the, oh,
So, for example, we've done it before with fences to determine that it's insubstantial. We did it with a dog run area to determine that it was insubstantial. But it's our determination, and there are, in the regulations, 5 references to what's substantial and 5 references to what's insubstantial. So, for example, if there was a major change in the number of units, that might be deemed to be substantial. Something such as, a window or a door, I think we would deem it to be insubstantial.
Or a paint job or
Or
something.
painting, or
Re-roofing with
re-roofing,
shingles.
or stuff like that.
But they would still have to come before the board to get that approval? That's what, because then it's gonna be,
Everything.
yeah, I mean,
And I don't think that was the intent or practicality of,
We haven't come to that yet with any of them, as to,
and nor
re-roofing
probably
or-
will you, but.
Yeah.
But that could be trim repair, I mean, it could be anything.
10 years from now, or whatever.
If it's
yeah.
in kind, could that,
That's what I said previously, I was like, if it's in kind,
then it's already part of, yeah. That would at least alleviate
In-kind
maintenance
repairs,
issues.
Yeah.
Upgoing, and maintenance,
Yeah.
scheduled maintenance. Because you'll have to replace the roof every
yeah,
20 years.
It's very
or whatever,
subjective.
It probably tends to rest with the building commissioner. I mean, really, it's gonna be, he's the first line of defense, or whomever's in that seat 20 years from now, and we'll have to decide whether a window,
that won't be
you know,
me.
a clapboard or a roof or anything, that'll happen. And that could be hard for, if they have an emergency situation or something. I mean, I guess that's different, but it's like you need to be able to repair your windows, your roofs, your things, your regular stuff. I know what you're saying. You're worried more about,
Or maybe you can add
Changes.
language that says that, this doesn't affect, typical maintenance and upkeep of the existing buildings in kind.
so long as it maintains a consistent appearance and quality or something to that effect.
Yeah.
It's just,
As
Could be
what's
determined
approved.
by-
it's just that way it's written right now, it
It's
just says
inside.
that exterior alterations of the building are prohibited
Yeah.
unless authorized by
It's
the
very,
board.
very
So it's
strict.
very strict, right, so we have no leeway. That was like this, our concern,
I mean, you can't even paint.
So why don't we,
yeah.
So are we talking about something like substantial exterior alterations, not including typical maintenance?
Upkeep.
Yep.
Upkeep and repairs.
Upkeep or in-kind repairs?
There you go.
And
That
replacements.
maintain that are consistent with maybe the approved appearance and quality.
Okay.
yeah.
Of the
So if they
building,
want to change,
something like that.
if the siding in 30 years is shot, you just want to swap it out.
Yeah, if it's the same, but if they were gonna suddenly go like red, it might have to come in, or, if you were gonna go suddenly from, black windows to purple window, just that kind of, obviously we have to, you're not going to, but
Yeah,
I think you want to maintain sort of a general appearance.
yep.
Yeah, as approved.
hang on,
It should include replacement, in-kind repair and/or replacement, because if you replace a window,
Sure.
that's a distinction between repairing it.
Yeah, I think that's maintenance.
Yeah,
all
you
maintenance.
replace a roof, you replace a window, yeah.
so what I got right now is substantial exterior alterations of buildings that do not constitute ordinary and routine maintenance and repair, and that are consistent with the appearance of buildings as shown in the approved plans, are prohibited. And then at the end, we can put, I think that's it. So again, it'll be substantial exterior alterations of buildings, substantial exterior alterations of buildings that do not constitute ordinary and routine maintenance and repair, and that are consistent with the appearance of buildings as shown in the approved plans, are prohibited unless authorized.
I would say maintenance, repair, or replacement.
Maintenance, repair or replacement?
Yeah.
Thank you. Good.
That works.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. All right.
Back to I-4. It says, trash and recycling services with respect to the project are not the responsibility of the town of Foxborough.
Yep.
Sorry,
Which one is that?
I-4.
I-4.
to take out one of the towns.
Yep. Okay. Anything else on 18? Anything on 19? We got 2 to go back on. And Diana, we're going to remove the numbering on the 2 exhibits, correct?
Yeah, because we got to put the waivers before this, so that would mess up the numbering, so.
Yeah, so the waivers will be Exhibit A.
And just in Exhibit B, submissions to the board, it says Weston and Sampson, but it says and then AMP. I don't know where the AMP came from, but just check that out.
Okay. That's under the traffic assessment.
Under both of them, traffic assessment
Next one,
and
yeah.
utility and stormwater.
So going to,
I just have 2 small little messy ones. The Exhibit B, traffic impact assessment and utility stormwater report, Weston ampersand AMP. It just
That's
got
what we
2.
just said.
Oh, did I wasn't listening then, sorry. Focus, like when you focus on what you're gonna say. Thank you. Sorry. Wasn't good in school at that.
Hey, at least we caught it twice.
I'm like, gotta get it in.
so page 9, item number 4. Paige, you have any thoughts as to which of these would be most applicable, or?
I think we'd have to modify either of them. I mean, I think I'd probably say something like the applicant shall provide a performance guarantee in the sum of whatever it was, $2,500,
5,000, I'm gonna go.
or 5,000, sorry, to, I don't even know if we want to say guaranteed trees and landscaping. It's more for, in the event, something, let's see, $5,000 in the event the project, I'm trying to think of it, the project fails to proceed, you know, trees, I'm not right, it needs to be written out. I mean, I can't do this off my head, but,
Well, right now, what I've gotten written down is provide security in the amount of $5,000 toward the cost of restorative landscaping to the benefit of abutting properties.
And the town.
And the town?
Yeah.
And then in the next sentence would start with, you know, the funds will be used to restore the site should the project be abandoned.
perfect. And you might even want to clarify that of, you know, restore the site, but, and I would, with particular emphasis on the neighborhoods to North High and maybe Walnut Street, something just so that if, you know, it's 10 years from now and you guys aren't here, they remember the intent was really to ensure that it goes back to protecting the abutting properties.
Yeah.
Not like, you're never going to get $5,000 worth of trees to replace a whole site. It's really going to have to be targeted.
So you want to just say to the benefit of abutting properties on North High Street?
Yes.
Okay.
And Walnut.
Yeah, Walnut.
Yeah.
So it's North High and Walnut Streets. Do we need the town of Foxborough?
No, I
That
think
would
that's
be-
fine
yeah.
then, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay, I want to go back to B1.
Can I just, I'm
yeah,
sorry,
I'm
I
sorry.
know we do, I know this meeting is not open for public comment, but I just want to make sure, since we do have some neighbors here, that we explain to them, if it's not, or if it's not clear, exactly what this is for. So it's my understanding, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that if the project proceeds as intended, we will not use this at all. This is only if some very strange, unforeseen thing happens, there's money there if the project had already begun, just to make sure that,
Does that have a provision that when it gets returned?
Yeah, I was just actually going to say that.
okay, so
Something.
I just want to make sure, am I,
No,
sorry?
that's fine. I was just gonna say, and then we might need a provision that when it gets returned, when we complete the project or something.
I think
Yes.
it's in there, isn't it?
Yeah, upon permanent stabilization, blah, 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 the
yeah.
applicant may submit a request for release of the surety.
I don't think there's any drainage infrastructure that's gonna be
I
done.
know, that's a little. I mean, at what point would it trigger? Would it be the
Sea law?
issuance of a building permit for building 3?
Or what
Or be
about
the occupancy of a building permit for permit 3 that would sort of trigger that?
I'm thinking of
That's
CFO.
the cleanest.
That's what I was thinking.
So maybe say that, upon CFO for the final building. Because if it's the final building is 2, if you decide, oh, we're not doing building 3 for whatever reason, then that would be,
Yeah.
we'd have to use that money and then.
You could post the money, return the money for C of O after the 2 permits are pulled, and then post it again for the 3rd building, just to keep it clean.
I don't think it would be clean on this decision, though. You're gonna have to remain in compliance with, you'd have to change that.
And just so we're clear, it says, "And no construction activity takes place for a year." So the project has to be abandoned and no construction activity takes place for a year. Because more than likely, there's gonna be
Could be more than a year.
a year plus, it could be a few years between phase 1 and phase 2, just because of the funding mechanisms. So again, it has to be abandoned before you guys can even take the money.
Yeah.
And it's really there as an incentive. Get it all squared away. So on building 3's occupancy permit, we can have it released, request to be released. That's fine.
Okay, so,
So that last sentence will be changed.
Somebody send me what that's gonna say.
Upon the issuance of the occupancy building,
Well,
permit
just
for
send
building
me the
3.
whole number 4 between you two.
so let me go to item B1. I don't know, did Frank share the email with you? Because your other board members haven't seen this. So when Judy initially wrote this, B1 said something to the effect of at least 25% of the units have to, be within the AMI. And I changed it to, as you see it here, each of the 200 units. So Judy's reasoning for the 25% is as follows. And let me just read from her email. There is one item that I need to mention because it may confuse people. Under affordability, the decision restricts the affordable units to 80% AMI, not the 60% AMI that's required for LIHTC projects. The reason is that if the project ever had to be taken over by a lender and sold, the project would still have to comply with DHCD's comprehensive rules, which will be 25% affordable for people at 80% AMI. But the sale would not necessarily be contingent on compliance with LIHTC rules. Just want to make you aware of this because it has come up in other comprehensive permits for LIHTC developments. The fact is that Beacon, that's where we get the Beacon again, will have to
That's our
comply with the
competitor.
will have to comply with the requirements of all of the various subsidies that will ultimately go into this development. So the risk is some type of foreclosure is basically, non-existent, but I cannot write the permit to say that the units will be affordable at 60% AMI in perpetuity. I understand what Judy, I understood what Judy was saying when I got this Friday night. I completely forgot about it on Saturday afternoon when I started revising. I also had forgot what I had for breakfast on Saturday morning, but that's a different issue. Have you seen this at all?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's a couple things. 100% of the units absolutely will be below 80. We do have tax credit restrictions that will kind of overlay the 60% requirements, but in one of our phases, it has a small band between 60 and 80. So trying to say that all the units are gonna be, I think the decision in our experience is just what we said, 200 units, all below 80 is what this is intended to do. There may be some additional restrictions that will all be recorded, different terms based on the financing, that will be 60% and 50%, and then a small band at 30%. So I do think that the way it's drafted is the clean way to do this and not try to cross collateralize almost, you know?
And if there's a bankruptcy and the bank takes over, then we have to deal with DHCD rules again, which would be inconsistent with what the housing authority wants. And I guess the answer is we'll deal with it. When Frank and I spoke briefly about it this morning, you know, I think my comment was, well, Judy can't write it that way, but it's now our opinion or our decision. So I think I'm happy with the way it's written. I think it's consistent with what the application is and what we're approving.
And we're very comfortable with the language.
It works for us.
And I don't see Judy here to contradict me, so. So I think what I'd like to do is to have a motion to approve the written decision and to grant the comprehensive permit, subject to the various amendment and revisions that we have discussed and agreed upon.
So moved.
Lorraine, you're voting on this one, so.
Yes.
Second it?
I'm sorry. Second.
Okay, any further discussion or comment? Okay, I'll probably, because we're on cable, I'll do it by roll call. Actually, do you have any questions or comments?
don't, no.
Okay. So Lorraine,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
and Barney, yes. So I guess what we can do, we can sign, and then Diana will work assiduously tomorrow. Paige will give her all the opportunity she needs to make these changes, and we should be able to file with the town clerk before the end of the week.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I think what we'll
Say
have
one
is Diana will, after the changes are made, she can send it to both of us, or to all of
Okay.
us, and we'll just take one last, run through it.
All right. If we come down to close to the deadline, we can extend it for another week if necessary.
Diana, you don't think that's a problem from your standpoint,
No.
do you? Okay. So unless we have some
That's what I assumed.
discrepancy as far as wording, we should be okay.
And if I could just say one other thing. So today, we had the opportunity to meet with the chairman of the Joint Committee on Housing for the Commonwealth, and Jim Acero. He came down today, and along with Representative Jay Barrows, and we met with, Greg was with us as well, and we had a great conversation. He wanted to come down and actually see the site, and Paige was there as well with us. And so I just wanted to say thank you to the board very much. We expressed to the housing chairman what a great experience it's been so far in Foxborough, and he was very impressed, I think, with everyone and everyone's collaboration. He wanted, he was talking in the future, but he could definitely see how this is a model for other communities. So I just wanted to share those comments because I thought it was heartfelt, and I think for us it's been a great experience. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Good, thank
We
you.
appreciate your time, really.
Thank you. Any idea what the next step is and when?
Going for the money. The applications the pre-apps are ready to go in. A lot of communication back and forth with DHCD. Today's purpose was to make sure we could both, support, if the bids come out for the public works, that money will be there to support that in tandem with the financing. There's a little bit of unknown because we're out of round as to when they'll make the announcements on the state funding. And then we're starting to work with the bond issuers right now for what will be the permanent debt going on the property. So it's, as they say, most of it's financing, but we also want to make sure that the public works has the funds. Could be really soon, it could be sometime this summer that they make announcements.
Good luck, and hopefully it'll be soon for I guess for our sake too.
We all want it, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Do we have any other business? So motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Second?
Second?
Okay. Kim,
Yes.
Lorraine,
Yes.
Kurt?
Yes.
And Barney, yes. We are done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to thank and acknowledge this board. You've been through a lot since last June. And, you know, you've had a lot on your plate this year. It's been a busy year for you folks, and 240Bs in there, and you adjusted the schedule for this one, so thank you, because that's not unnoticed. You know, this has been a big effort on the town's part, so thank you.
Thank you.
I know you have a few gray hairs from it, but here's to a quieter 2023.
Since I saw my hair goes.